Hello everybody, I'm Nicholas Snow. This is PromoHomo.TV and you're watching an episode of the series Life Positive, spotlighting people living with, impacted by, and or working to bring about the end of HIV and AIDS. And I have known my guest today virtually for many years. I don't even know when we first connected. I've been on his show before, and I had to reschedule one of his past appearances on my show, and it's finally happening, and he's in the green room. So Daniel G. Garza was born in Monterrey, Mexico, raised in Dallas, Texas, and currently resides in Laguna Beach with his honey. Actually, I'm not sure if they live together, but they do everything else together. And he's survived anal cancer, alcoholism, and drug addiction, and he is thriving with HIV. And he's got a powerful, passionate story, and it's coming up next live for all of you. PromoHomo.TV is all about empowering you, our communities, and our world. For their support of PromoHomo.TV, I wish to thank my sponsors, DAP Health. I've been a grateful client of DAP Health for more than a decade. One of their value statements, we welcome all people, period. Willie's Modern Fare, 1501 Uptown Gastropub, and 849 Restaurant and Lounge. 3 restaurants, unlimited flavors. Shouting out to my media partners. Pink Media, amplifying PromoHomo.TV across the Twitterverse with their #ILoveGay campaign. David Perry and Associates, a PR and marketing firm. GayDesertGuide.lgbt. And KGay 1065 Palm Springs, available worldwide. Ask your smart speaker to play KGAY. And last but not least, the PromoHomo.TV superstars who voluntarily subscribe to the free content at PromoHomo.TV for as little as $1 a month. Join them at patreon.com/PromoHomo.TV. Meet many of them at PromoHomo.TV/superstars. Now here's how you can step up to the plate. To find out how you can help me empower you, our communities, and our world, visit PromoHomo.TV/empower. Thank you. You all are busy out there because I just got a notice that there's 10 new live interactions at Twitter. So, by the way, it's at PromoHomo.TV on Twitter. So, as I told you earlier in the episode, Daniel G. Garza was born in Monterrey, Mexico, raised in Dallas, Texas, and currently resides in Laguna Beach, California. He has survived anal cancer, alcoholism, and drug addiction, and he's thriving with HIV. He's a strong advocate for the Latin HIV community, taking on several roles in the HIV space, including chairing a client advisory committee, public speaking, and volunteerism through organizations organizations such as Radiant Health Centers and UC Irvine. And he's also the founder and president of Lilmesican Productions, Inc., a social enterprise focused on developing projects related to entertainment, advocacy, and spiritual growth. And you've heard me talk about him enough. I think we should let him come and talk for himself. Welcome to the show, Daniel G. Garza. Hi, Daniel.
Well, hello there. Finally made it.
Yes, you're here in the PromoHomo.TV studios.
They
Well,
finally approved my passport to come into your show.
yes, exactly. Um, well, I'm glad they did. Speaking of passports, I mean, your work, your your recovery story, your triumphant life journey has connected you to people all over the world.
Yeah. First of all, I'll seriously thank you. I appreciate being on your show. And you're right. We've known each other for a long time virtually, but we yet to meet personally. So I'm looking forward to that. Which I might be in your area for Pride. So I'll keep you updated on that.
Palm
Uh,
Springs Pride is in early November every year. Go to pspride.org, and PromoHomo.TV is the official broadcaster of the Palm Springs Pride Parade.
yeah, so I might be there visiting for that. But yeah, as far as my advocacy work, which is really what we're here for, is started with I was originally diagnosed with AIDS in September of 2000. For those of you that know the numbers, I weighed 110 pounds. My T cell count was 108. Uh, a priest came into my room to talk to me. Yeah, priest came into my room. Sounds like a joke, but it's not.
A Catholic person does not want to see a priest by their hospital bed.
No. And he comes in and says, "Is there anything you want to talk about?" I tell him, "Am I dying?" And he's like, "Well, only God knows." I said, "Well, go get a note from God, and when you get that, come back, or otherwise get the F out of my room." And he never came back. My joke is he never came back, so I didn't die. I wasn't ready.
Well, good. We like that. The last rites would have been wrong.
You know, so I this September 23rd, 26th, September 26th of 2023 will be my 23rd anniversary of being diagnosed with AIDS. So I'm a person living with HIV for the last 23 years. In 2015, I was diagnosed with anal cancer. In 2007, I went into rehab for alcohol and drug abuse. And in 2016, I had my ostomy surgery. So it's been quite an adventure in my life.
Well, that's a lot. Now, so if I caught the math quickly, you found out you were HIV positive because you developed an AIDS diagnosis in 2000, and it was 6 years later where you went into rehab. How much was how did living with AIDS have an impact on your drug and alcohol addiction, if at all?
Yeah, total. It's going to sound so cliche, but um, knowing before I was diagnosed that I was possibly HIV positive and being afraid of the testing and the stigma and the shame that came with it definitely played into my alcohol and drug use. Um, Wanting to have any sexual relationships with anybody. Uh, Sometimes I felt like I needed to be drunk or high to enjoy them. So all I ever did was get high and get drunk to have intimate relationships with anybody. Uh, when I went into rehab and sobered up, it made me have to confront all those feelings and emotions of being diagnosed. I hadn't really felt them. When I was diagnosed in 2000, I was already doing drugs and alcohol.
So you were in a 6 year or longer fog.
Yeah, I started doing drugs when I was 20. And for those of you that don't know me, I do a lot of comedy when I talk about my life. So please take the jokes as jokes. But I still remember the first time that I did Coke. It was on the cassette box. That's how old I am. Of Seal while the cassette song was playing. So that song "Crazy" from Seal was one of my worst songs forever.
Does that song trigger you?
It used to. It used to for a long time. I could not hear it because I still. If anybody I lived in Dallas, Texas. If anybody lived there at that time, the Wave was a bar there in Dallas, and we were in the parking lot in my old Mustang, um, doing drugs. That was the first time. I was 20 years old, and for a long time, it brought a lot of, like, not triggering memories, just painful memories. Like, I don't know if this happens to a lot of people, but to be able to identify the day that you became an addict is a really strong emotion.
Well, I have 22 years sober, and I have another show on my network called Higher Powered, which is one of the things I do on that show is take recovery out of the closet, where people can share their journey of experience, strength, and hope without necessarily naming a 12-step program in honor of the traditions of those programs. And so I'm with you. I'm with you on that front. Congratulations on your recovery.
Thank you.
Had had you been an out proud gay man in the 90s?
Oh yeah. I laugh because I don't think there was any way I could have hit it. I was I came out when I was 17. I was outed when I was very young,
You
and
were outed.
yeah. So, which, looking back, it brought a lot of hardships, but also I was out. I was out. There was no more secrets with my family. Um, as a good old Catholic, it's like, if God knows, let the world know. So I didn't care. So I embraced it. I was rainbow chain wearing, Daisy Dukes tank top, flapping my gayness everywhere I possibly could.
Right on.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I was. It was 1988 when I came out, so I came into the 90s. Like, well, I was riding that gay card all the way. I could, and then somewhere in my older 20s, I kind of started to find myself a little bit, but still with alcohol and drugs, it wasn't. I wasn't really me. And then when I turned 36 and I was in rehab, is when I really started to define who I really was. But I'll be 16, June 21st will be my
You mean
birthday.
60?
Six, no, it will be my 16th.
Oh,
Uh,
16.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Recovery.
16. Oh,
How dare you,
congratulations.
sir?
Well, no, no, no. I was trying to do math in my head. So
I'll be
you were in your
53.
30s in the 2000s.
Yes, so I'll be 53 this December coming.
Okay, I was going to say 60 seemed too low, too high, but 16 seemed too low. But I,
Yeah.
I got you got me there. So I I was activated literally as an activist in the early 80s while coming out at Arizona State University, recovering from a conservative Republican upbringing, but also by the beginning of the HIV/AIDS epidemic. People I knew and loved were dying. And I was in the Department of Communication at the time. And the combination of all of this just helped me to realize the most powerful thing that I had in my life was my own voice and my own story and my own ability to speak my own truth. And so I just started doing that, and I never stopped. And I have to thank those people who lived with and died of AIDS and everyone who certainly survived and all of our allies for teaching me the value of every moment of life. And I was wondering, what was the catalyst for you to start telling your story with the goal of making a difference with it?
Yeah. So, kind of like you, I don't think I've met anybody who's an HIV/AIDS advocate, activist, or instigator that wasn't like called into it. Like, so early on, as I mentioned earlier, I was diagnosed in September of 2000. In November, I was in the hospital for 3 weeks, but that November of 2000, I ended up back in the hospital, and this is in Houston. Um, at the hospital, there was the HIV/AIDS ward, and there was a gentleman that was brought in. I was there over Thanksgiving weekend, and on that Wednesday night, a gentleman came in, and he did not survive the night. He passed away that Thanksgiving morning. And his mom, when they came in, did not speak English. And um, that evening before he passed, they were serving us some soup, and he wasn't eating, so I helped him eat. Um, and because it was a holiday weekend, it was a skeleton crew, so it took a little while for them to come and get him. And I
You mean
remember,
after he died?
yeah. So I remember calling my sister because I was going to move from Houston to South Texas, crying, crying, begging her to please not leave me there because I was afraid I was going to die and nobody was going to come for me. And that added to the fact that in 2000 there was so little information for the Latino Hispanic community, information in Spanish. For every one pamphlet in Spanish, there was like 20 in English, and that frustrated me. And add to that, that once I moved to South Texas, I was very vocal about who I was and what I was doing. I was one of the first Latinos in that area in that time frame that did an Univision interview in Spanish. So if you've ever lived in a small town and you have a station like that, everybody finds out about what's going on. So I was pulled in to be an advocate, and then before you know it, you're in it and you're doing presentations and you're public speaking and people know who you are.
Well, I know that one way you articulate it is that you were pulled in, but you were compelled by your own heart and your own soul and your own nature,
Uh,
as a loving, compassionate human being.
I think yes. I think there's a rock bottom. There's a rock bottom that we hit. I hit it when I was using and drinking, and there's a rock bottom when you're going through health issues that you don't realize it. There's a and boom, and you know it. It happened to me with AIDS. It happened to me with cancer. Um, there's this moment, and you have, I believe, that the universe, God, whomever you pray to, gives you these two choices. You can either go through life bitter and angry and blame the world, or you can take what you're learning and share it with the world. And I spent a lot of time angry after I was outed as a teen, and it never got me anywhere. I never did anything with that anger. So the other choice is to be optimistic and positive. I mean, trust me, I'm no Pollyanna. Like I have my moments of diva, and you can ask my partner Christian. There are mornings when I wake up and I'm like, no, not today. But there's choices, and I chose to make a career out of my diagnosis, both anal cancer and HIV. And when I chose that, it just comes with being optimistic about life, if that makes sense.
No, it makes complete sense. And by the way, Lance Druckerman is watching. He says happy birthday early regarding your upcoming Sweet 16 clean and sober birthday. Lance and his husband Gary are associate producers of my show and my most loyal fans. I say fans, they're really good friends of mine. It seems kind of ridiculous to refer to them as fans, but that's how we connected initially. But they're dear friends. So, have you ever been accused of exploiting HIV for fame and fortune?
Totally. And I'm like, can you please tell me where I put that fame and fortune? Because I really could use it sometime. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. There was even a point where people told me that I was lying about my status to get on stages or to do presentations, and um, yeah, but no, folks, I'm HIV positive, and the only difference is that I didn't hide it, just like I haven't hid my cancer or my addictions. I just chose not to hide it. I don't want to live in that stigma and shame that most people live in. Not, please, for anybody out there, it is your right to not say anything to anyone. You don't have to disclose anything. I just, I've always not had a filter, and I tell everything. Um,
Well, the reason I asked that question is because I was pretty sure the answer would be yes, because there are people out there that don't think that we're worthy of being compensated for the light we shine into the world out of our own choosing. Excuse me. And, you know, for decades now, I haven't been looking for causes to support my career. I've been looking for careers that will help support my causes. And so that's been the through line of my entire life. What I've done consistently is fight for and advocate for human beings confronted by these issues and to work to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
What I've done less consistently is know how I was going to make my living or pay my next bill. So ultimately, the proof is in the pudding. When I came out in Asia, I was one of the most visible, openly HIV positive people in Asia,
Oh wow.
and I documented that whole journey in this book. I just mention it because that's a big theme about how I was responding to those sorts of accusations. How Tell me how you began to thrive professionally in the HIV and healthcare space.
Sure. It's not a big secret. If anybody who knows me knows that I have a big mouth and I love talking. I come from theater, like right there. It's right there. I've always been
You're a gay guy that comes from theater. I'm
talker,
just
yeah.
so surprised.
Throw a stone and hit one of us. uh, um, I like I mentioned earlier, I was not. Once my parents found out that I was gay, I was like, okay, so what am I worried about? Once my family was in the room with me in the hospital when I
When
got
the
my
priest was
diagnosis.
there?
No, no, when I got my diagnosis, they were in the room with me. So again, if God knows, let the world know. Um, and how I'm thriving is I've always been a speaker. I've been a public speaker since I was in junior high. I believe that I've honed the art of storytelling. I've been able to take my stories and break them down in a way that people can understand them, that it gets to people both in Spanish and English. I think that I present, particularly to the Latino community, in a way that it doesn't necessarily break down religion, culture, or social norms. It embraces them into who I am. Like I still believe in God. I still have the heart of a Mexican, and I embrace some of the traditions that my culture has. But I don't try to challenge them or break it down. I embrace them into my sexuality, my diagnosis, and my way of living. And I think that's what appeals to people. I've learned and I'll pat myself on the back. I've learned that art. It is an art. Not everybody can pull it off. It's landed me on big campaigns. I was just at the Capitol for a presentation. I was at the HRC headquarters doing a speech. I mean, it's that. It's like anybody who's good at their job. I'm good at my job, and being an advocate has become a career. Does it pay me sometimes? Yes. Not always. I mean, I still do volunteer work for schools and present to schools for free because that's part of the career. Um, but I think overall, it's no secret. If you're good at something, keep going, keep trying, keep learning. I mean, it's I'm here with you on the show, so
Well, and if you're passionate about something, never give it up. Never stop doing it if it gives meaning and purpose to your life.
yeah.
So you also are a performer historically. Do you do performing beyond your presentations in your public speaking and in your show?
Since you're asking,
I did. I did. And by the way, audience, that was not a setup. I was just curious. You know, once a drama fag, always a drama fag.
so I still do some acting. I still audition and do some acting. I occasionally do some stand up, particularly mostly in health conferences. I get invited to do comedy at health conferences. It's so much fun to make fun of sick people when you get paid for it. It's awesome. Uh, I do advocacy work, obviously. I'm also a Reiki master. I'm a transpersonal coach. I wrote a book during the lockdown. So there's a lot of different things that I do. I have my three shows that I either co-host, produce, and direct, plus shows for other people. So I'm always involved in something or other.
Well, you certainly are, and I wanted people to know how to find you. How was that for setting a good
You,
setup?
you there? All right.
So, Lil Mexican. Am I saying that right? Lil Mexican.
What am I
The way
thinking?
that it's spelled, it's like you're supposed to say it. Lil Mexican.
Yeah. Uh, and that's actually short. I'll make it a short story. I was shooting a movie in Houston when I was first starting in movies, and I was given a featured part with some lines, and the director couldn't remember my name. So at one point, she said, "Where's that little Mexican guy?"
Oh
And
no.
I thought it was hilarious. If you know me, you know that I found that hilarious. So this is 2008, and I was just starting my YouTube page. So I went home and I was like, what should I name my production company? When I have it, what will I call it? And I thought, oh, Little Mexican, because that's the time when all the rappers were doing the LIL. So I was like,
Lil.
Little Mexican. And over the years, it became that my name came from a time when somebody couldn't remember a name, and it will become a name that everybody will know.
I think that story is hysterical and historical and brilliant. So you do a lot of things. So tell me about the Card Devo energy healing sessions.
Yes. So Card Depot was a name that a friend of mine gave me, but I've been doing energy and card reading since 2012. I became a Reiki master in 2016. And over the lockdown, I got my coaching certificate. So I became a life coach, and I didn't like what was out there. So I created my own deck of cards. I created my own program. So it's called the Alignment. And it's a deck of cards that I use to help people identify, acknowledge, and break down barriers that are causing them burnout or stopping them from moving forward in their lives. So I do one on ones coaching, I do group coaching, uh, support groups, in person, corporate events, you name it, I'm there. And then, um, and then, can I show you my book? So this is the
Please,
book.
I'm gonna let me bring you back up.
So this is my book, Grumpy Bunny.
Grumpy Bunny and the Colors Game.
So it's a guided meditation book for children, and it's got all the colors of the chakras, and it guides you. It's even for adults, so I'm not going to say it's not for adults, but it guides you all the way through to align your chakras. It comes with a chakra chart right there, and a glossary so you know the big words in case you don't know them. And I wrote it for me. This is me when I was little. Right there.
Aww.
And then I dedicated it to my mom, who passed away in 2020.
Aww.
In fact, it's interesting because yesterday was her birthday. So, so my mom passed away in August of 2020. Uh, but yeah, so it's in English and Spanish. Go to my website; you can find it there. And
Oh, that's really fabulous. How lovely is that book? And then, of course, the Christian and Daniel show is a weekly show that you do with your husband. Are you married?
we are not married,
Oh,
and I
so your boyfriend. You're living in sin.
we are as I should, and no, we don't live together. I heard you say that at the beginning.
Right. I wasn't sure if you live together or not.
Yeah.
But I do follow you closely enough, not so much that I could be accused of being a stalker, but I follow you closely enough to know that the secret of your relationship with Christian is laughter.
Total. In fact, there was just if you're interested, go check out stories from the stage on Facebook or YouTube. And my story just came out last week, and it's a story about cancer and the journey to the cancer. One of the things that when I started treatment, um, we made a pact that we were going to laugh through it all, and plus we're that kind of couple that we're just horrible to each other sometimes just to make us laugh. Uh, and but laughter has gotten us through a lot. It got us through my cancer. Then he was ill for a while. His parents passed away. Then my mom passed away. So we've had to find, you know how it is. If you don't laugh, you roll up and cry, and it's okay to cry. I mean, I cry today, um, but then you got to make a joke about it and keep moving forward, and that's what we
Find the
do.
humor.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you and Christian been together?
On May 9th, we celebrated 11 years together.
Okay, the reason I asked that question is because you and I have known each other longer than that. Because
Yeah,
if I remember correctly, we met initially on an online dating environment,
yeah,
but we never actually had a date.
yeah.
For I don't, I think we were very kind to each other, and we weren't like those vicious queens that are hateful, and you never want to know about them again.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you found true love, and you've been in a 12-year relationship, and so now you have to write a how-to book for me because I haven't done that yet, but that's okay.
You know, and he'll probably agree. Lower your expectations and see who sticks around in the morning for breakfast. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, okay. That you know what? I think I really just might try that. So I really want to go through the rest of what's on your homepage. So next up, we have put it together, and the you're a spokesperson for Positively Fearless.
Yeah. So Positively Fearless is a campaign put together by Johnson and Johnson and Johnson Pharmaceuticals, and there are six ambassadors: two New York, Florida, Nashville, and Atlanta, and then I'm the only West Coast guy. And it's six ambassadors showing other people living with HIV how to be fearless and how to go after their dreams and goals. And I think I'm a pretty good ambassador for that.
I love that. And you're a Life Bulb brand ambassador.
Yeah, so Lifebulb is an organization that speaks to people who are either cancer survivors or going through cancer and their caregivers. They do organ transplant and recovery. So I've been working with them for a couple of years on some of their campaigns.
And then Osto Life is a page for men with ostomies.
Correct. So after my ostomy, which actually my ostomy surgery was on April Fool's Day, April 1st, 2016. But I started that page so that other men who have ostomies or those who identify as men can come on and share or ask questions or so yeah.
Well, that's just so beautiful the way you continue to share your own experience, strength, and hope in so many ways, and of course, all of your programming. I'm scrolling through the website for myself, not for them. So all of your programming is linked from the website, and then you have your upcoming your Twitter. This is your Twitter feed, I know. So thank you for promoting your appearance on this. So, oh, and then the bilingual opportunity to get your book, and of course, all sorts of opportunities to contact you while you are entertaining, educating, and energizing our community.
Yeah, we made a deal when we started our company when we officially launched Little Mexican Productions Inc., which is registered as a social enterprise. So, for those of you that don't know, it means that not only are we growing our business, but we want to grow our community, whatever community we're part of. And we, my goal as a producer was to have shows that yes, they entertain you and we're here to make you laugh or think or whatever, but we want to educate you a little bit. So every show has a little bit of education into it. And we hope that you walk away just a little bit more energized, that we give you enough information that you can then share with other people to help us grow. And that's what we do. So,
Well, fantastic. Is there anything you want to talk about that we haven't addressed in this interview?
Um, the other thing that I don't talk about, but I do get hired for sometimes, is mental health, and I want to make sure because May was Mental Health Awareness Month, and I did some shows on that, particularly when it comes to mental health from health-related issues. I was diagnosed with health-related PTSD shortly after my cancer diagnosis, and that just means that your body has been through so much that your mind is constantly on guard for anything that happens with your body. And that is hell on your spirit sometimes. So I want to make sure that I always put the word out that if you've been through, maybe you're a long-term HIV survivor, maybe you've gone through cancer in any way, or seen somebody go through it. Maybe being gay sometimes brings you more stress than you think it should. You can reach out to me and we'll talk about it.
Well, fantastic.
My alarm was going off.
Oh, that's okay. And then you asked Alexa. Oops, better not say that name too loud in this room too. Well, Daniel, I knew it would be a really fun conversation with you. It almost feels like there's no show going on. It's just you and me having this conversation, and which I like. I like getting lost into my experience with the guests, as if we're just talking over coffee. I just think that's a delightful way to be. But we've had live viewers, and I want to thank all of you for watching live. And let's not wait another 12 years for you to come on my show. How's that?
Perfect. And it's really cool because normally I'm so tense because I'm used to interviewing people. I'm not used to being interviewed sometimes. But it was nice. You made it very comfortable. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. If you're not in a hurry, stay put, and I'll speak with you after the show and off the record.
Yeah.
And for those of you who are watching, I'm really excited that you've tuned in. This is the cover art for tomorrow's episode. And tomorrow we're going to talk about some really important topics that really in some way does relate to that photo. Now, those two guys won't be on the show, but you'll want to tune in tomorrow to find out. So on behalf of Daniel and myself, I will see you next time.
Bye.
In a safe place, I got room to breathe. Been a long chase, but at last I'm free. These open woods, I knew I could find peace here. Nothing like the city where I got tired of the running, the catching up. I got hungry for the stunning high mountain tops. So I made some plans, some dreams to catch, to promised lands, to find my path, see the planet from greater heights. I have found a place out of time and space, far from city lights, up on greater heights. See the blue sky, feel the wind that blows. Get the rush in, heaven only knows. I'm all alone, still lying far from lonely. On a journey, on a winding road. Got tired of the running, the catching up. I got hungry for the stunning high mountain top.